Okay, let's do a quick Zone 7 story here about chlorine analyzers, which were a real problem, and they were being cleaned by the operators, and they were very old. So they were old, and we had a number of them in place. There was a issue with just going out and buying new ones because it had to go through Zone 7's management, and they would be getting messed up during cleaning by junior operators. I found two old units in the trailer and just rebuilt one of them entirely. I found enough pieces to make like a brand new one. Fixed the pumps, which took a bunch of little yellow blocks. Those I had to order. And yeah, just rebuilt everything. The optical blocks, the drain block, replaced all the tubing per the manufacturer's instructions, and replaced all aluminum electrolytic capacitors on the circuit cards because, like I say, these units were over 15 years old. So that is old. So I started just replacing them one at a time, going down the line, and everything was swell except the junior operators right away. One of them messed up one of the units because they're using concentrated sulfuric acid when they're cleaning these things. So I said, let's do something about that. And what I did was I developed a method of cleaning these things where we didn't have to take them offline. Because what they were doing was filling this optical block with concentrated sulfuric acid. What I did was I waited until this number refreshed, and then I would shut off the scientific plumbing, which I had also rebuilt, the sample plumbing. I would take a plastic pipette, I would stick it in the optical block here and draw out the fluid with the dye and squirt it, and then I would flush it a couple of times with DI water. Then I would take a Q-tip, a swab that was dipped in the concentrated sulfuric acid, and wipe the inside of the glass tube, then flush it a couple of times with DI, wipe it with a dry swab, and fill it with process water. Really important, pipette process water. Couldn't use DI for this last step. Then turned the sample back on, and I never had a problem. I was able to clean these in between samples. I would do it every Friday, then I'd go over to Patterson Pass and do theirs. Okay, so I also took over retubing these things because these are basically maintenance department tasks as far as I can tell, but the operators were doing them. And there was all kinds of problems when they would have the operators rebuilding these things, retubing them. And I can't remember if it was yearly or annual or 6 months or whatever, but I had all kinds of tubing kits rebuilt and ready to go. A really big deal was calibrating them, and I built an IV bottle arrangement, and I was able to flow zero water and sample water made up by the lab, by the guys up in the lab. I was able to do that, and we got perfect calibrations on these. And believe it or not, this was in the book to do this. It said to flow sample, known sample water through it to zero and span it, and just nobody had ever been doing that. So that worked great. The CL17s were just accurate and not a problem. I also overhauled turbidimeters on a less formal basis. I just took the oldest ones and started there and did them in place. Did those. At the UF plant, we had these low-range turbidimeters that were new, and they started reading too high, and it turned out it wasn't hard to figure this one out. There was some kind of bacteria living inside the thing, so I found an old turbidimeter body, and these have a fancy bubble trap, and I took it home, and I ran it through my dishwasher, and the dishwasher cleaning solution bleached it. So we had to throw that one out. I took another old one and I put it in the dishwasher with this cheap dishwashing stuff called Sunlight that I got at the dollar store. It did not bleach them, and in fact it solved the problem. And I just went down the line at the UF on each rack and cleaned these turbidimeter bodies, and they were back up and running, because previously they had been having to replace the entire turbidimeter was all they could think to do. So anyway, all that stuff worked great, and there was much rejoicing. And I thank you very much for putting up with having the patience for this. Thank you.